Good morning, and today we are going to have some highlights to introduce you to the day in the life of primary. And, sorry.
There we go.
All right. We're a community that a lot of you that are here with us, you have gotten to experience our early childhood environment. And those of you that have older children know a little bit more about our upper classes. But we want to be able to give you some introduction to what your children will continue to experience in our school. So as you know, we offer small class sizes and ratios. Our children daily feel safe and happy. It's really important for us to teach and introduce the value of respect and caring for one another between our children and even our adults and our faculty. We have very welcoming and involved parents in our community. We have a PTO meeting going on at the same time as this today. So we have events and connections throughout the campus and throughout the week. Those of you that know me, I'm Toni Bejko. I am head of early childhood. I have been with Holy Spirit since this past summer, and it has been just an incredible experience. I cannot even thank you as parents enough for just welcoming me into this community, and I'm just so proud to be here. So I will offer some insight of how we are contributing on our end to our life of early childhood as it feeds into primary. So right now, I'd like to introduce Kelly Broaddus. She is head of primary and lower school.
Hi, so glad to see all of you. I know some of you from having your older kids in primary, but many of you I cannot wait to get to know. I have been at Holy Spirit, this is my third year here working here, but I have been part of the community for a long time because I actually attended as a child. I went here kindergarten through 5th grade before we even had a middle school. So I love this community so much and I'm so happy to be a part of it.
Now I would like to introduce Sharon Dworaczyk. She is our EC and primary curriculum coordinator. Sharon, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'd love to. Can y'all hear me? My name is Sharon Dworaczyk, and I am new to Holy Spirit. This is my first year. However, I've known Michelle Simons for many, many years. My other component of my life is with Rice School Literacy and Culture, and so I bring that connection as well to here. And you'll hear more about that program here in a little bit. But thank y'all for letting me be a part of this today.
Okay, well, transitioning in EC, we felt like a wonderful insight into our program is to actually show you with photos. We are so proud of the apps that we use that share our day-to-day activities. But if you just look at this involved, open-ended, creative curriculum that we use with our children and interactions daily, in our toddlers, that would include our 18 to 24 months, as well as our twos, those children who are turning 3. We have large group and small group activities. And then you see, if you look at one of the photos to the right, you see a teacher working one-on-one individually with a child, depending on their skill level and their needs, and just making those connections and making them feel special and involved. Our toddler classrooms center around that expansion of children's verbal, nonverbal communication skills and helping grow and develop that. Our children learn to interact and socialize with their peers in a more structured environment. And that's where that small group interaction, large group, and a large group would be the entire class. You have a group of 12 to 15 children sitting together, sharing stories and songs and finger plays and learning transition and building their attention span. And a small group activity would be where our teachers and their assistants break out into small group or centers, and they work with them in 2 and 3 and 4 groups of children just to help them learn what it means to be around peers of their age group. Of course, in our toddlers, and we start introducing all of the learning environments and the whole child development, we offer reading in the form of free form out loud reading to storybooks, having books for the children, introducing them in cross curriculum. They may be doing an art activity and have a book with them at the table reflecting on that. They're introduced to music, and all of this is a part of their cognitive, physical, and obviously their emotional development. And it's incredible how fast we see that development grow. If you look at these beautiful pictures, you can just see lots and lots of open-ended art. We want our children to feel like they have the opportunity to discover and grow and ask questions as they start talking. Outdoor play. All of you know what a beautiful campus we have, and really there are not many spaces that are off limits to even our youngest children. There are so many benefits to having outdoor play. We have our toddler playgrounds, we have the fields, we have the walkways and the paths. It's just an incredible way for little children to get exercise, but also, again, it's discovering their environment in indoors and outdoors. When they play outside, obviously they have lots of time to run and jump and skip and have those loud outdoor voices. Playing outside, it gives them that time to pursue all of their activities. And when they come in and have their indoor structured activities, it opens their focus on having that attention that they need for being in a group setting in the classroom. That playtime, it absolutely improves their gross motor skills, and then their ability, like I just mentioned, about coming back in and process and remember their information that's been introduced to them each day. When children play outside, they're going to learn more about their relationships and how to behave as a member of a group and a community. And a lot of the skills that are required that Kelly and Sharon are going to share with you that are part of primary, all of that is incorporated into not just our written curriculum, but our active curriculum in everything we do. All of our activities come from this core of what developmental stages and milestones our young children grow and learn every day with. So I'm going to move on and share this with Kelly Broaddus to talk a little bit more about moving on to our primary.
Well, actually, Sharon is going to take this part. So no problem. So Sharon, go ahead.
Not a problem. And Kelly's going to help me move through the slides here. But as curriculum coordinator, I'm going to kind of walk you through a typical day of preschool as we get into primary, our 3s and our 4s. We start every day with our morning meetings. And this is a great time just for teachers to connect with these children and get a feel for how their morning's starting and get their day started. With every morning, you can see on the far left, the children are signing in. They sign in when they come into the classroom. It's a great way of just early literacy and name curriculum. And then they take it to the next step. And you can see on the left, they're voting and they're seeing, they're counting how many people chose this, how many people chose that. So it's a great time to, again, validate their feelings and their opinions and their selves, while then, building that community within the classroom. Okay. So I had mentioned earlier my connection with Rice Early Literacy. I started back in 1998, a long time ago with Rice. And personally, I was trained in the program in 97, 98, and I've stuck with it. It's such good stuff, and it just makes sense with young children and all that it's about. And so coming in with this background knowledge will be a great connection, because I've worked with Michelle at a former school and trained teachers there, and we hope that we continue with that now. We have several teachers that have gone through our summer program, and we see Rice Early Literacy throughout in all the classrooms, that from dramatizing stories taking that connection and taking story to the next level of understanding narrative with dramatizing. They live through the stories, to writing their name, practicing writing their names, no matter what age they are, no matter what stage they are in writing, whether they're just making that first mark, they're writing their names. They are writers no matter what stage they're at. And so you can see the little one in the middle practicing writing. We don't expect them to come in writing their names at 3. So with all of this that I'm throwing out there and mentioning, take that big breath, you know. Every child moves through stages, and some of those stages, that's why we call early childhood birth through age 8. So some of those stages happen a little bit later for some children. So please take that breath and just, you know, don't put the stress on your children. It will come. And that's why our teachers are trained in this. So please don't have them practicing writing their names before they come in 3s, because they're not expected to. It's just making that mark. So and you can see just building a love for stories right here. You're good. Building a love for stories is part of our early literacy focus. And when we do that, bringing in story baskets is so important, and having that connection with the book and having items, characters from the book is so important, and develops that narrative even further. You can see the picture that just came up in the following picture here. Early literacy extends into all the centers, and here you are in dramatic play. That's their Chick-fil-A. I mean, you've got the little car that's pulled up to the drive-through, and the child is ordering Chick-fil-A. But these are menus the children have put together. You can see on the top right left, this is in our pre-K 4, and one of the kiddos was ready and was able to copy down these words. Were all the children? Absolutely not, and they're not expected to. But that is the gift of this program, is that we encourage children to develop when they're ready and they're able to go through these stages of writing. Process art is a major part of our program. I'm not going to say you won't, but 99% of the time, you're not going to see an end product come out. We're more about the process with our art, providing open-ended art experiences for children, because that's how they develop this creativity, and their problem solving is through this open-ended art. So children go through process art every day, and that's very important at Holy Spirit. I had talked about, you saw the Chick-fil-A earlier. Here's 3 other areas and dramatic play themes throughout the rooms that you'll see when you are able to come in and visit when COVID is just away, or at least safer. You can see the fire department is up the upper left, and that's one of our 3s classrooms. The bottom is a birthday party, a birthday celebration room. They were celebrating birthday in the home center. And then you've got the bakery on the right, and the different roles that the children take on. And as you saw in the Chick-fil-A, the writing that happens. Again, all when they're ready. The beauty of these free choice centers, dramatic play being one, and here this was in a manipulative center. The beauty of it is that it allows children to choose these activities based upon their interests. Yes, there's going to be things that we expect them and move them through in the centers, but for the most part, they have free choice every day. And you can see these next couple of pictures. You've got the light table, which is such a hit, and it's throughout the room for every theme and every stage that they move through. And you've got the oh my goodness, just went absolutely blank.
Table.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. The sensory table here, and there's one in every room, and these change throughout themes. But it's all a part of being with their friends and the social learning and at the different areas that interest them. Outdoor play, again, they get to go out at least twice during the day, every day. And I know, as Toni had mentioned earlier, all the different, we can hit outdoors. If Kelly and I and Toni had our choice, we'd be outdoors all day, because we can hit the emotional, social, physical, cognitive development outside. As you can see, the different the different manipulative things that they have outside to play with and grow with and learn with. And so that's a very important part of our day, is outdoor play. And then we have gross motor, and Kelly's going to go into this and tell us a little bit more about the specials that they visit throughout their week. So Kelly.
Our primary 3 and primary 4 classes are very active and busy. We have so many hands-on opportunities for them. And our gross motor class, we would also call that PE as they grow older, but it's really focused in our primary grades for making sure they develop the big motions. So kicking and throwing and running, skipping, all of those kinds of things. There's a lot of times games or obstacle courses that they can run through to put all of those things into practice and really develop those gross motor skills, but in a really fun and active way. And they do get to, I love this picture because you can see that one student is cheering on the other one who knocked down the pins. And so it really encourages even that friendship and encouraging each other and cheering each other on. We really focus on nurturing the whole child here. We want to make sure that they feel nurtured and welcome and encouraged in every area. They also get to go to Spanish, and that's with Senora Avila, and she really focuses on conversational Spanish, on greetings, and on vocabulary. So they're just getting a little smattering of it and really loving it with videos and songs and a lot of repetitive things so that they get very comfortable with the language, both speaking it and listening to it. In music, we have Mrs. Daniels, and she is so enthusiastic and active. And as they are learning to sing, they're also doing movement and learning how to recognize and to produce rhythm. There's all kinds of instruments and things that they get to hit. Like you can see the little instrument that the boy is holding with the stick that he gets to hit. And then this also culminates in kindergarten. The children put on a nativity pageant, which has been going on since the start of Holy Spirit kindergarten. And so it is a really special event, and our primary students get to see it, and they love it, and they look forward to it very much. We also have yoga with Mrs. Lewis. She incorporates yoga with literature. So she a lot of times reads a book that leads them into these motions that she has them do. I've seen her even have them develop poses or even name an animal that they want to come up with a pose to do, and then they all do it together. And this really just creates awareness of body. It helps them understand meditation at a very young age of being able to be still and listen to a sound. She'll ring a bell, and then they're supposed to raise their hand when they hear the sound stop. And so it's a lot of ways that really brings that awareness to each child as they're practicing that yoga with Miss Lewis. And she also teaches library. And with library, she also has a special friend, Bookworm. They love Bookworm, and he introduces the lesson every day, and he gives them a kiss on the head as they leave every day. Every time they're there, it's so fun. And so she really does a great job of just making books come alive. Shannon does a lot through Rice as well, or has been trained through Rice, and so she brings in the story baskets and the dramatization with all of that in library. Children also go to chapel. They've been going since early childhood, but then they get to go to the children's chapel when they're in primary, and they get to continue learning about Episcopal traditions and Christian foundation, compassion, integrity. Mrs. Daniels joins Chaplain Susie in the chapel service, and they do a puppet show with Scout and Scamper. Those are our two favorite characters that help teach the Bible lessons, and there's all kinds of singing and learning some really adorable prayers, but it's a great way for children to start learning about their faith. You can see some of those other pictures, and you can see we love parents joining us for anything we can, and we are working on making that safe for everybody to join us again. So I love seeing that picture with children sitting with parents and grandparents. There's the children's chapel right there. Look at the beautiful stained glass. Then primary school buddies. This has been on pause for a couple of years because of COVID, but we will be bringing this back. But we have our older students partner with our younger students. And so they come in to read to them, to help do art projects, to just join them in any of their activities, or to be an audience for them if they're doing one of their dictated plays that they get to perform. And so this has been a really fun partnership that is a special part of our school. And then special guests. We love to learn about things beyond our school walls. And so you'll see in the middle picture, that's Bugs on Wheels through the Houston Museum of Natural Science. And they brought all kinds of creepy crawly critters, and the children got to touch several of them if they wanted to. And so that was a really great way to bring a field trip to us. And then you'll also see a parent being a mystery reader. And then we also have a grandparent there for Grandparents' Day, which is just a really special day. We have moved to February, so you'll be hearing more about that soon. But we love having our grandparents involved, and we'll be doing some special activities this year as well. We do it in November, but again, just to make sure everything was safe this year, we bumped it just a little bit. We really value and honor students' thoughts and words and ideas, and we want them to see that those have meaning. So when it was introduced a morning message and them getting to write their name, we want them to see that each word that they say means something and that it has a written representation. So they're learning that from the very beginning. It's very active learning. The whole child is developed academically, socially, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And there's all kinds of opportunities for hands-on experience. And students become creative and critical thinkers through all of this. All of our classes are capped at 16, and there are 2 teachers in every room. So it is a really great way for there to be really active teacher involvement and guidance. We do small group learning. So one teacher, we'll have 3 groups, for instance, and one teacher will be with each of 2 groups. And then the third group will be independent work, where they're really getting to play or use clay to create something, or maybe develop fine motor skills by stacking beads on a wire, or all kinds of different things. And it just moves so smoothly and so beautifully. So what can you do to prepare your child for the next step? And I'm going to turn this over to Sharon again, and she'll talk about that.
All right, I'm back. When I had mentioned earlier, and we can flip to the next, Kelly. When I had mentioned earlier, you will receive here at some point, not today, Kelly, I don't think, but at some point here, kind of what our 2s moving into 3s expectations are.
Yeah.
When you look at that, and I'm gonna just lay this out here. You can see the hair here. A little bit older. I have a 21-year-old and a 16-year-old, both boys, who are night and day, and they have moved through all these stages at different times, but with birth through 8, 0 to 8, remember by 8, 99, don't even quote me on the numbers, but most of our children level out by age 8. And so the beauty of a private school and being at Holy Spirit is that they will get to that point. If there's red flags, that's what our teachers work with you on that. And we notice those earlier, but ways that you can help your child be successful are these points right here. Number 1, promoting independence and ensuring self-regulation opportunities daily. And I'm going to go through examples here in a minute after I get through this. Being firm with consequences. You have the one result that's important, but giving choice through that. And we'll go on in that in just a minute. Turning off TV, tablets, phones on these short rides to school. I can't tell you how many times we open up these cars and see a TV on. And yes, there are mornings. Yes, I've had those mornings. I am not going to, confess here that I've not done it. There are those days. But for these times where I can pre-plan, that's where it's important to think about. And most importantly, read with your child. So how to promote that independence and self-regulation, having them put on their shoes or try. encouraging them to carry their lunchbox or tote bag. If there's a whole bunch of things, having them put up one thing, putting up that jacket you can see on the far left, or putting up that lunchbox when they get home. Where does that go? Making sure they're putting up their belongings, their shoes, their coats, their bags. And remember, what may take a little more time now will pay off in the end. Believe me, having a 21-year-old where I think I did a little bit too much for some days, I'm now seeing and having those conversations with them. And what do you think you should be doing? And I shouldn't be having to do that with my 21-year-old, but there's some other, ADD issues and all of that. So to give him some, credit, but anyway, just things to think about. Give them those opportunities to build on their self-regulation and be able to take care of themselves. Be firm with these consequences, provide clear expectations, giving them realistic options that end with the goal in mind. I need you to get up and go put up your coat. Do you want to do it or do you want me to do it? And that's not a great example. But you know what I mean? Giving them two options with the exact goal in mind. I need you to go wash your hands. Are you going to do it or do you need me to help you do it? Okay, but stand firm. If you can't choose one of these options, then it's my choice and follow through. All of those are leading to creating children who can self-regulate on their own and be successful on their own. Turning off those TVs and iPads on your short rides to school. Again, I've had those days. I will confess, I'm not, none of us are perfect. But when I can, and you can see that just having the books, the second picture there is one of our kiddos at Holy Spirit. After I had done this parent presentation in the fall, these children were going through and I'm like, can I take a picture and use it? And so that second picture is one of our kiddos, and it's a dry erase board that they just keep in the car for these short rides or long rides. The one on the far left, just the same, because I had suggested going to the library, keep your library books in a basket in the car. Then you know where they are. When it's time to go back, you're not searching for them, but it makes it that special basket of books for these rides. And so again, on the far right is another one of our kiddos whose mom gave me permission to use this, of course. Books on tape are great. Turn that music and sing loud and proud. I mean, we tell ourselves as teachers, we have to get over ourselves of being embarrassed or whatever. Get over yourself and just sing loud and proud. The example of the Dish Network, I don't know if anybody's seen that Dish Network commercial. It ran during the holidays and in the fall, and I have not seen it as much now, but it's a set of grandparents and they're reading this list from the parent as they're babysitting, and you don't see the child, and it's turn on the TV, find Netflix, do this, whatever. And the grandmother goes, we can do this. And then they pan. It's an infant sitting in a chair and they put on in a swing and they put on Pete the Cat. I'm like, forget that. Read to those children. So anyway, just my pet peeve, having been there and done this for a long time. Believe me. And most importantly, read with your child on a daily basis. At Holy Spirit, we truly believe in reading and writing and doing things for real reasons. And that's something with Rice we promote. Bringing in real reasons to write. We'll have them sign in, just as parents do when they get to work, you check in somehow. So we do that with the children as well. I forget to write something. I forget to do something. I go to the writing center and I say, oh my gosh, remember to write this down, or, oh, I need to read this, so I'm going to go to the library and sit. So doing things for real reasons, pointing out in the literature that we're reading daily, I can point out and find sight words and find different things, not with our youngers, but I can notice letters in their names. But reading with your child on a daily basis, so important. The children can gain more out of that just by being with you one-on-one, but then also what you can point out in the literature that you're reading. So I'm going to turn this back to Toni and Kelly here.
All right. I'm actually going to stop share so you can actually kind of see us a little bit, but and I did want to mention too, Sharon kind of alluded to, we have this list of skills for entering primary, just so you're aware of what we're expecting and what we need your kids to have. And aside from, we have to have your children potty trained, just so you know that. You have even the whole summer to do it, but by the time they start in August, they need to be potty trained. Out of diapers, we don't have diaper changing stations. So just know that is a hard and fast. They have to be ready for that. But we will share this skills list with you. We would love for them to have the majority of them accomplished through the summer, but please hear my word majority. That is not all. So don't feel like, oh my goodness, they don't do this, that, or the other. I don't think they're ready for primary 3. Like, it's okay. As we've all mentioned, we nurture the children here at Holy Spirit. We meet them where they are developmentally, whether they're a little bit further advanced, whether they're right on track, or whether they need a little hand-holding to get to where they need to be. We welcome them all, but we just wanted a little bit of a guide so that you know exactly what we're kind of working toward. So we'll share that with you. We also, normally, when we do this presentation in person, you're able to tour and look around the school. And we want you to do that, and very soon. So once we are sure that we're kind of past this little peak that we're having right now, we are going to invite you on campus to tour, and we'll give you that handout, as well as a little handout of a kind of a sample schedule of what our children go through each week or each day, and just so you can see a little bit more. So do know, we want you here. We love talking to you in person, and we're looking for that time coming soon.
Okay, and I wanted to just mention just a couple of side notes. I'd like to mention a couple of side notes before we go into our Q&A. One, I think as I see who's joining us in this meeting today, I think the relationships are huge. I just think when I see parents in carpool chatting, when I see you on the playground talking to each other, just imagine how beautiful it is that you continue to carry that on. We are so blessed to have our children in their, with their age group, and knowing that your children will continue to build those relationships with each other and amongst yourselves. These are your neighbors and your friends that you're building that community with. So our community does not end inside these walls. And as I said, we cannot wait to invite you in more, but also know that you are inviting each other into your lives. And I just think that's so beautiful to see. I just adore it. You will also, we have Jen McMahon. She's our director of our admissions. She's here to answer questions, but you will be receiving information on our re-enrollment very soon. And we did not want to bore you with details and dates. This is not the time or place. We want to make sure you receive that by email. So that will be coming soon. So without further ado, I know Florencia has been moderating this. So Florencia, if there's any questions that we can help answer, please let us know. We're here.
Wonderful. And actually, I do have a question from a parent asking, will we be reviewing the registration timelines for primary? And I think it is a great question given that we have re-enrollment coming soon.
Yes, we will send re-enrollment packets out on January the 24th. So I would encourage, number one, I want to say hello. I'm Jen McMahon. I see a lot of, I think I've met most of you, or at least talked to you on the phone, and it's great to see all of these familiar names up on the screen. But we will be sending out, like I said, re-enrollment packets on the 24th via email, or the week of the 24th. I would strongly encourage you to consider re-enrolling sooner than later. This is the most we've ever had in our TWOS program, which is fantastic, but we have, I think, over 72-year-olds, and we have 5 pre-K3 classes, and most likely we'll have 5 again next year. But however, you do have the gift of getting to re-enroll before we open it up to the public. So please feel free to reach out to me with any questions, or like Toni or Kelly said earlier, maybe it was even Sharon, when it's safe to go and, do a little peek inside a classroom, I'd be happy to do that with you. But I'm right inside not in the early childhood building, but I'm in the main school office right off the front lobby. So just come and see me.
And I just wanted to add, Jen, that when we send out the re-enrollment packets, it will be electronic re-enrollment.
I meant to say that.
And you will have instructions, especially that transition from the early childhood, the twos program, into the primary three. We'll explain to you how, although you will continue on through the summer, your primary financial responsibilities will start a little bit earlier just to save those limited spots for primary school. But all the instructions on how to re-enroll and set up your financial payment plans and all that will be included in re-enrollment. It will be on the week of the 24th, and the deadline is in February. I want to say the first week of February. You'll have 2 weeks for priority enrollment. Also, I have another question on does primary 3 or pre-K 3 do they take naps?
Well, that's a great question. Yes, they do. We have rest time every single day after lunch, and that's also for pre-K 4. So obviously our primary 3 kiddos do take a little bit longer nap, and they need that a little bit more. And our pre-K 4 kiddos still have rest time. So even if they're not needing to sleep, they do still lie down, just stay a little bit still and rest. Many times they fall asleep even when they think they don't need to. They sometimes will. But we do have that downtime. It is very important for them to do that. So I'm so glad you asked that question. Yes, they have rest time every day.
Wonderful. And I do have a few parents that have asked similar questions as what are the hours of primary 3 and how does it differ from after school? Early childhood has a different hours of operations, and then what are the hours for primary school? And then what is considered after school?
That's great. Our carpool in primary starts at 7:45, and then class starts promptly at 8. Now we do keep our carpool open a little bit longer, but class actually begins at 8. So know that teachers are already starting to gather the kids for morning meeting and things like that. So it is important to try to get here as on time so that students aren't feeling like they're missing anything, because they do need to come in. We encourage them to put their own things away, and that just takes a little while. And it's okay, but we want to make sure they don't feel rushed and that they are a part of whatever we start. So 7:45 is when carpool opens, 8 o'clock starts class, and then we dismiss at 3:15. So that is when primary carpool begins. And then we do have an option for after school with KidVenture. So that's a separate choice that you can make if you want. So if you need extended day, you will sign up with KidVenture.
Great. And I have a question about part-time. So maybe we need to clarify, because it says if we are part-time, can we bring a little early or anything? But I think we need to clarify that I guess in early childhood, you have the option of selecting your schedule, but with once you transition into primary 3, there's a set regular calendar, correct?
Correct. Yes. So it is 5 days a week from 8 o'clock to 3:15 every day. So there isn't a choice of doing 2 days a week or 3 days a week or just mornings or anything like that. If there is some need, we do have a couple of kiddos, and notice I said a couple. Really, it's only for kids that just struggle with staying all day. We have made arrangements before where they get picked up after lunch before rest time, just as they transition. But the goal is for them to be here all day, all 5 days a week. And there's not a payment difference. We also say that too. So you only make one selection there's only one tuition for the 5 days a week.
Wonderful. Also, we have a question, a very nice comment on, they love HSES and they're so excited to see the opportunities for the kiddos and all the creativity choices, but they would like to know how are we enforcing discipline and structure in the kids' day and the learning discipline of the students?
That's great. I'll take that too. And feel free to hop in, Toni or Sharon, at any time. So discipline, really, we as I said, we're so nurturing and really want to help kids learn to self-regulate. So anytime there is an issue where we need to address some behavior, it is very nurturing, helping the child recognize to take some responsibility for their own actions. We really want to make sure that we redirect and make a good choice. We help them, as Sharon talked about with choices before, we want to help them make a good choice. For instance, if it was hitting, we talk about what do we hit? We hit a drum, we hit an instrument. We don't use our hands to hit friends. Instead, we try to keep things positive. We really like to, for instance, if someone's running down the hall when they're not supposed to, instead of saying stop running, it's use walking feet. We try to put things in a positive manner and redirect and allow the child to communicate and us to give clear communication as well. You'll see teachers get on the child's level, bend down, kneel down, sit down. We don't want it to be intimidating while we're also enforcing, making sure they understand making a good choice versus making a poor choice. And pre-K4 in particular, they talk a lot about filling a bucket. There's a book that they read. We want to fill each other's buckets rather than dipping into it. So it's making sure that people feel good and encouraged and talk about the choices that fill a bucket versus dipping out of it.
And Kelly,
also, what's the other discipline? Yeah, go ahead. There was another question.
Well, and I'm going to step in and we really, really focus on empathy. And
Yes.
So if there is a hitting situation, focusing on the child that got hit, how did you feel? And having them talk it out is just very, very important. And that's something that all of our teachers practice.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. With the instruction discipline, which was also the other part of the question, a lot of what we're doing too is extending their attention span and ability to sit and listen. So we don't expect them to sit still and listen for very long, but we do want to start increasing that. Can they sit and listen to a full story or, to sit and do an entire little activity with their teacher? So those things we build on not only all through primary 3, but then it continues into pre-K4, just as we're doing all of that. So it is teachers write lesson plans. They have their learning goals for each child. They keep track of how each child is growing. And so that's how we really make sure that they're learning as they're doing all of these really fun things and playing. So we do know, research shows that children hold on to what they're learning through play. And so that's why it is so important for all of the outdoor and play centers and dramatic storytelling and all of that. It really solidifies what they're learning.
Wonderful. I have a few questions as to with the transition from early childhood to primary school. When does primary school start and when does the early childhood, the twos, finish?
Good question.
Is that like timeline as far as like the month?
Timeline as the school year.
Right.
August, September. Yeah.
And so, and this will also be information that will be included in your re-enrollment specific with all those dates and timeline, but.
Good. Okay. That's a good question. We just had a meeting on that to kind of clarify how that transition will go. So if your children or child will be continuing with us, they will continue through that second week of August, and we will be closed for our in-service. There'll be some dates specific. We'll get those out to you. But we will offer that courtesy of those first few days in August to continue in EC, close for a week or two for our in-service, and then your child will start in primary 3. And that's where, again, those details will come out about one tuition versus the other. And I think you'll be pleased with how smooth that will be. If you will not be continuing with us and moving on to another school or, other options, then your child's last day will be that last Friday in July. So I hope that helps.
And so the first day of school will be the first day of school for returning for the next school year of 22-23, and that will be mid-August.
Correct.
And we will include those dates in the re-enrollment information.
Right.
And with that, we've also had questions as far as the enrollment tuition schedule for primary school. And so we will also have those dates and the tuition schedule and what payments are due with your re-enrollment packet. And
Great.
let's see. We also had questions about where do they find the information for after school for Kidventure. We will share that information with the re-enrollment packet. And also when it comes time closer to the start of the next school year, we will invite you to our parent orientation, which will have all that information available for registration, pricing, and everything. But in the meantime, you can go to our website under stories, back to school. That was the information that we had for parents for the back to school of August of 21. And you can review all the information that we share as you prepare to come back to the new school year.
Thank you, everyone.
We want to thank you all for joining us.
We look forward to seeing faces.
Yes, yes.
We definitely prefer to do this in person. We look forward to doing that again soon.